the car is what it is. It's a utilitarian automobile. It's a practical automobile. It's not meant to be a luxury car in here. Interior is I mean, it's a little bit low rent, but I respect it for what it is and not what it tries to be. So you'll notice I got a couple gauges in here. I got a Autometer electric oil gauge. If you do buy one of these cars and you put gauges in it, if you get a gauge it's going to be measuring fluids, get an electric gauge. Don't get a mechanical gauge. You do not want live fluids being routed into the cabin of your car. That's just a bad idea to begin with. On the other hand, I do have a mechanical boost gauge over here. It's also an Autometer gauge. And I'll be the one to say it out loud. The novelty of driving around in a car that has a turbo under the hood and you can hear it whooshing and making noises and you can see gauges moving back and forth and you got a boost gauge and you can see where you're spooling up and stuff like that. The novelty of driving around a car like that with all-wheel drive, and it's a station wagon, and it kind of goes pretty fast. It's pretty cool. I mean, it is a cool car. Not the most performance-oriented thing, not the nicest thing in the inside. Interior's a little budget, if you ask me, but it's got a little bit of a cool factor due to the format that it's in with the all-wheel drive, with the fact that it's turbo, with the fact that it's so modifiable and you can do a lot with it. You have a lot to work off of with this platform. It's kind of like a piece of clay in your hand that you can mold it to what it is that you want the car to be. I mean, there are guys driving around in 300, 400, 500 horsepower WRXs, and believe me, they didn't put a lot of money into the car to make it that way. But you're going to be upgrading a lot of stuff. You upgrade the power, you're going to have to upgrade the transmission and the motor mounts. You upgrade those, what use is it going fast if you can't stop? So you upgrade the brakes. Then what use is it having a really fast car that goes and it stops, but it doesn't handle? You wind up putting coilovers on it. So the car is what it is. You buy it as a blank canvas to modify from and not expecting to be blown away with the car out of the box in completely stock form. So again, modification is the name of the game with these things, and they are very, very highly, have a high degree of modification possible. Tons of aftermarket support. So I don't know. Let's pop the hood open and take a look under there. So this is the engine bay of a Subaru WRX, and if you were like me when you first pop the hood open on one of these things and look under here, you're kind of looking at it like, what the hell is going on under here? Where are the spark plugs? What is going on? I mean, this is a boxer engine. This one's a 2-liter. It's a flat 4. So we got 2 cylinders on this side, and the cylinders move horizontally, okay? We've got the other 2 on this side. So it's kind of like a V engine in the respect that it's split in 2, but it's not in a V configuration. The cylinders are flat. You got the crankshaft in the middle of the motor, okay? So definitely a little bit different from other stuff that you've probably worked on if you're not familiar with Subarus. And the car is a little bit difficult to work on. In typical Japanese fashion, we have everything crammed in the motor, as tight as it could possibly be stuffed in here. The issue that I have with that is working on the car, when you disassemble stuff and then reassemble it, in general, stuff will only go back together one way. You got to do it in a particular order. You got to put everything in the right orientation, in the right order. It doesn't bolt together. And a couple times I've been working on stuff, I've put component A back in, put component B back in, gone to put component C back in, and I realized, oh wait a minute, I took C out before I put A in, and oh wait a minute, I got to start over. So there is a little bit of a learning curve there because you have to have a little bit more attention to detail than you would with, say, like a German car where things are kind of put together more logically and there's more room for you to work with. And this thing, just because of the engine configuration, the way the engine bay is laid out, it is pretty tight in here. So I've made a couple modifications to the car. You'll notice I got a parent turbo inlet in here. I also have a gutted catless up pipe, catless down pipe. I got a cat back exhaust that's going to be coming for the car. I think it gets here on Tuesday in a couple days. And it will be getting its stage 2 tune in a couple weeks after I put that thing on. And, you know, I want to do a pressure test to sort it out and just make sure there's no mechanical issues with the car before I take it in. So, but I don't know, let's go around the engine bay. This over here, a big like air intake trumpet, it goes into the wheel well. You'll notice I don't have it in here right now because I'm modifying it, but there's a big resonator box that sits in the fender. So the air goes in there, into the resonator box, out. This is the air filter box, goes in there. MAF sensor, MAF hose, turbo inlet. This is the parent one that I put in. Turbo inlet goes into the turbocharger. You notice my heat shield is in there because I was working on it. turbocharger out into the top mount intercooler, you will notice that the hood scoop on the car is indeed functional. Blows right down on the intercooler, okay? Which feeds into the intake manifold. That's what this big spider looking thing is. And I mean, you'll notice that because of the way the engine's oriented, you got all your accessories very easily accessible right up front. Over here, the alternator, power steering pump, AC compressor, timing belt is under this cover right up front, crank pulley, and all your belts, hoses, all very easily accessible right up here. I mean, something as simple as the spark plugs, for instance, you can't even see them. Where the hell are they? They're way under there. I mean, I have to take stuff apart for you to see the cylinders and the heads on the sides, so I'm not going to be doing that right now. But oil filler cap, dipstick, coolant reservoir, obviously the radiator, washer fluid, fuel filter, brake fluid, clutch fluid back there. So I mean, it's reasonably well set up. It's just very tight in here, kind of hard to work on for certain things, and you know, definitely there's a little bit of a learning curve with it if you're not used to the boxer motors and if you've never worked on a Subaru. So I mean, it is what it is in stock form. It's got a pretty cool format. We got the 50/50 mechanical all-wheel drive. There's no electronic traction control. There's no, you know, front wheel forward bias or anything like that. It's 50/50 from the front to the rear wheels, mechanical all-wheel drive. It's very predictable. It's very, very good in the snow. In cold weather, I live in New England. It's, like I said, January right now, and it's pretty cold out. There's a lot of snow on the ground. We've had a couple snowstorms so far. This car is an absolute monster in the snow. It's unstoppable with a set of good snow tires on it. Unbelievable. I mean, it's a ton of fun too. I've owned some front wheel drive cars. I got the BMW, which is rear wheel drive, and I have snow tires on all of them. I've always run snows in the winter. This car is like nothing else. Unstoppable. I mean, it's nothing I've owned is comparable to this thing. You feel like you can go anywhere. I mean, it's very, very, very good in the snow and in the rain. The all-wheel drive, I like it quite a bit. So very utilitarian, very practical. Not the best looking car in the world. I kind of like the bug eyes. I specifically sought out a bug eye with low miles as opposed to a newer car with the same amount of miles because I like the way the bug eye looks. So hold on a sec. While we're at it, the headlights, probably the best in terms of illumination, the best reflector headlights in any car I've ever driven. And I say reflector because projectors, in my opinion, are usually superior, but in terms of reflector headlights, and sorry, these are very dirty right now, but they work very well, and that's really the kind of like aesthetic trademark of the car. These, like, you know, the bug eye headlights, and I totally dig them. The headlights, like the front end of the car is probably the best looking angle with the bug eyes and the hood scoop. Like I said, not a terribly great looking car, but I don't know, it is what it is. A lot of room in the back, very utilitarian. I take this thing out, going out with friends to dinner or the bars or whatever. Oh, excuse me, more than I take the M3 out. And this thing, you could fit 4 adults in here pretty comfortably. It's got a reasonably large back seat. I mean, it's comfortable. If nothing else, the car's comfortable, and it's totally fine to ride around in. It's totally comfortable as a daily driver. Again, it's not a sports car, but you don't buy this thing thinking you're going to keep it stock. So it is what it is. I'm really starting to dig it. It's kind of growing on me after a couple months. Once I got into the winter and I started driving it around in the snow with the snow tires on, I really fell in love with the car, and I decided to go ahead with the tune and, you know, dump a little money into it and a little more effort to bring it a little bit closer to what I want out of it. So it'll be getting the Stage 2 tune in a couple weeks. I'm hoping to put some coilovers on it, or at least some sort of decent suspension on it in the summer, or at least when the spring rolls around, drop it down a little bit. I don't know. I mean, as usual with any of my videos, let me know if you have any questions, if there's anything else you want to see, but I think I pretty well talked your ear off about this thing for the day, so I don't know. Thanks for watching, and I don't know, we'll see you in the next one.